And I absolutely didn't flag anybody's channels yesterday. And anybody claiming that is just not, they're either confused or mistaken, but it had nothing to do with me. That creator has enough people that don't like him that have no affiliation to me. A lot of you guys ask me questions about, what would your advice be to people that want to start having a platform? And, obviously when you first start and you're not making a lot of money and it's not very profitable, you don't have to worry too much. But the one thing I would say, make sure that you get good insurance. So get liability insurance if you're going to do any sort of publishing or commentary on anything. That can protect you from lawsuits. So that was something that I would recommend, which we do have. And then, the other thing that I would suggest is that when you do have the resources in order and some revenue coming in, is to have a really good business attorney and a good legal team. Because as much as it stinks to pay lawyers, a good business attorney can help with all of the stuff that goes on that's kind of like over there that's distracting to you, and they can take care of that, and then you don't have to even focus on it. So in my case, I don't have to really think about it. Yeah, get yourself into an LLC, get a registered agent. That is another thing. So if you're planning on doing an LLC, my mistake very early on was not using a registered agent. So my address was out there and I got doxxed a lot. So make sure that if you're going to start a business, you have a agent that's not at your house so that your address isn't the face of your business. So like my attorneys are actually my agents. So they manage all of my business stuff. They get all of my mail. If you look at my business now, it's all in their address. They're the ones that take care of everything. And a lot of law firms will do it for like a couple $100 a year. And they can help you draft the documents, talk with you about the liabilities that you have. So, and a business attorney can also help you with like all of your contracts. So if you have someone that is interested in doing a sponsorship with you, which by the way is very difficult because when you're an influencer, there's a lot of people that like to report you to sponsors. And so sponsors can be very skittish. So it's important if you're going to take a sponsorship that you not only vet them, but that they vet you, but that you vet them, and that there's this transparency where that if they do get attacked by someone that doesn't like you, they understand what they're getting into and realize it's just cyber bullying. Because that does happen to a lot of creators on YouTube. They get their sponsorships pulled. It happens to a lot of influencers. And there's a lot of companies out there that the minute they get any sort of backlash will pull. So having a business attorney that can advocate for you in those kinds of contracts is so important. They can like help root everything up for you. I think my attorney's is $255 for the whole year to be my registered agent. And it's good to find a law firm. I think it's really unfortunate because companies are so fickle about who they sign with, but then they're the ones, what's unfortunate for the creators is they're the ones that approach you. And then if they get heat, whether it's appropriate or not, they'll pull, which is ridiculous. I see it happen to everyone. I mean, I was actually just watching Hetty Page last night talk about she's had people report her and she's lost sponsorships as well. So I think it's just hazardous, a hazardous part of this business. Are my attorneys on retainer? They are. So having a good business attorney, having insurance, liability insurance, not being afraid to apologize if you get things wrong. Yeah, you have to have a thick skin for sure. Yeah. And that's another thing is don't be afraid to file. Like my advice would be I've had several attorneys And I've had some more expensive ones than others. And it's not true that you get what you pay for. Some attorneys are more expensive and they just want to bill you for everything, and then they don't do anything. And in my experience, my least expensive attorneys have been the most receptive. I don't know if it's just because they're newer to their practice, they have more, I don't know. But the current group I have right now is amazing. They do litigation, business, and all of it. You have to find a good fit. You do. And it's really silly things. I mean, it's not silly things, but it's even fundamental things that you have to agree on with your attorney. Because if you think about it this way, if you have a business and you have an attorney, you're in a relationship, you're in a partnership with them, and you have to have similar values and goals in terms of like how they're going to treat you and what they envision for you and how they can help you. And I've learned for myself that it's really important for me to have an attorney that aligns to my social views and the things that matter to me socially and politically, because those are the things that drive my content and my passions. And so if you have an attorney that doesn't have those same views, you can end up having like differences of opinions. Like say if your one attorney is very money driven, but that's not what you are, you're more socially driven. The money driven one is going to be looking for all these ways to spend your money, whereas the social one is going to be more cognizant maybe of how you're spending your money, your time, and your resources. And then having a relationship where they know where to spend their time and money. And finding an attorney that remembers that they can advise you, but that ultimately you make the decisions. Yeah, and finding an attorney that will follow through on what you ask them. I'm not going to necessarily share how I source people, but everything is sourced. Everything is verified. I don't speak to people that are not verified, ever. I get a lot of tips. I get a lot of details from people. I get a lot of people that try to give me false information. And you just learn that you can't trust everybody that wants to tell you something. And with every story that you cover, there's always people that want to insert themselves and make stuff up. And you have to be able to verify all of it. Otherwise, you can lose your credibility.